So imagine pushing yourself to the limits, not to the extreme, not until complete, utter failure, but instead to the sweet spot, where you challenge yourself to become better, to become the fullest version of yourself. Hey everyone, welcome back to Peak Life. In today's video, we're gonna go through my journey of something that I called 45 medium, which is similar to the very popular 75 hard. But before we dive into that, if you're new here, welcome to Peak Life, where we journey together to design, build, and live our own peak life. Let's jump in. So imagine pushing yourself to the limits, not to the extreme, not until complete, utter failure, but instead to the sweet spot, where you challenge yourself to become better, to become the fullest version of yourself. And that's what I and a couple other people did for 45 days. And the results, they were fantastic. They were transformative. So why did I do this 45 medium challenge? Well, you might have been feeling similar to me, where the post-Christmas indulgence had me feeling bloated, slow, and like I needed a bit of a challenge to reset. My life, while it was feeling great, from sleeping in, going to bed late, and being able to do whatever I wanted, it felt out of sync with my health and fitness goals. And I needed a reset. I needed a challenge to stay focused, to be disciplined, improve my energy, my health, my sleep, and my body. And ultimately, I was looking for something to feel proud of and to give me that sense of fulfillment. So a few people from the CrossFit gym I go to were gonna go and do the 75 hard. And while that sounded great for them, honestly, it was a bit too much for me. So you might have heard of 75 hard or monk mode. Well, those are fantastic programs and ones that I'm definitely gonna do at some point. They were a little too extreme for everything that I had going on in my life. I wasn't able, or really I wasn't willing to commit everything in my life for this challenge. Instead, I came up with this 45 medium, which was a little more tailored to having balance. Something that was meaningful and hard, but still attainable. For instance, 75 hard includes 2 45-minute workouts every day, where one is outside, following a strict diet, no alcohol, reading 10 pages of self-development every day, drinking a gallon of plain water every day, and taking a progress photo every single day. And most of these I loved, just not quite for 75 days. So I tweaked it a little bit. And with my 45 medium, I came up with the following. My key performance indicators, or KPIs, also known as metrics, were as follows. A Garmin sleep score of at least 75, 10 workouts a week, daily stretching, following a paleo with dairy diet, no alcohol, daily progress photos, and weighing myself, and like the 75 hard, reading the 10 pages every day of a self-development book. Through this, I learned quite a bit, and I'm gonna go through what I learned in every single one of the different stages. So first, starting off with sleep. This was probably the biggest factor of making me feel better the last 45 days. Having a Garmin sleep score of 75 meant that I had to be in bed, asleep, for at least 7 hours a night, which meant hitting the sack at around 9:30, which caused me to force my entire evening to be done with enough time to stretch, read, and be asleep. With this sleep score, and oftentimes I hit in the mid 80s or even higher, I felt energy every day. My commute in at 5:30 a.m. didn't feel as bad as it used to. I was able to focus throughout the day and get more meaningful work done. Onto the workouts. Now 10 workouts a week, this was a lot. And while I'm glad I did it, oftentimes I felt like I just had to go and get it done, and I lost that amount of enjoyment that I used to feel. To do 10 workouts, I would have to do 3 to 4 doubles a week. And what that would mean is after work, I would get home, quickly get changed and go to CrossFit, and then right after that, go to Jiu-Jitsu. My body definitely felt the strain of this, and I think it was a little too much. For the stretching, this was a great daily habit, but it's one that I didn't necessarily feel the biggest bang for the buck. And I'm sure if I put more effort into actually stretching properly, doing yoga, and incorporating it with breathing, I would have had more benefits. As for what I felt, it was a good daily thing, but take it or leave it. Moving on to the diet. Following paleo with dairy and no alcohol at all. This was huge. And I've done paleo quite a few times over the past 10 years. And I would say for my body, this is probably one of the best diets for me. I followed high protein with veggies and fruit, and I felt great for all my workouts. My skin was happy, my energy was high, and I didn't have any bloating or any high histamine reactions like being stuffed up. With no alcohol, I found that my sleeps were better, I was less irritable, and obviously saved a lot of money by not spending it on booze. Another part of my 45 medium was I cut out social media. I deleted Instagram and Facebook from my phone. And this was surprising to me of how much time it actually freed up. And you know when you're in a store and you have like 30 seconds of boredom and you just immediately open up your phone? That was gone. I found I was able to be a lot more present. And also my Instagram feed is pretty much all watches and Porsches. So without having that constant feed of what I didn't have, I was able to appreciate more of the items that I did have. Being on Instagram, I find, it's just all the Omegas and the Tudors, the Patek Philippe's, and the Ottoman Piguet Royal Oaks. And it creates this feeling of lack. Like, I should have the Porsche, I should have the Rolex, but I don't, and that's okay. And by getting rid of the social media, I was able to stay more present and more grateful for what I do have. Next, we have the progress photo. This one was interesting because I noticed a huge difference and huge improvement in the first 2 weeks of the program. Going from the Christmas overindulgence, the bloating, feeling a lot more round, to 2 weeks of cutting back and almost losing 10 pounds, definitely I was looking a lot better. Abs were visible, the different muscle groups were visible, but after that it stayed pretty consistent and I didn't really notice any changes for the remainder of the 45 medium. And that goes with weighing myself daily as well. I started off 45 medium January 1st at 204 pounds. Now this was a lot of water weight just from eating way too much sugar and cookies over Christmas, but I dropped down to about 193 pounds after 2 weeks. And I stayed there pretty consistently, say plus or minus a pound for the entire thing. And this was a little surprising to me. I thought it would have kept on dropping and dropping, maybe down to like 190 or 188. But instead I hit that 193 number and that seemed to be right where my body was happy. And finally, my reflection on reading 10 pages a day. This was an interesting one because I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I have a 2-hour commute, an hour there, hour back, and I get through a lot of books, but I don't spend as much time physically reading them. And through this process, I was able to get through a bunch of books, like Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And I have a full video summary up here on this great book. Another book, Death by Meeting by Patrick. Again, a fantastic book that's already helped my work life. By forcing myself to read the 10 pages, which oftentimes I'd read much more than that, I was able to learn faster and retain it. I find the audiobooks are great, but physically reading, you get more retention. The one downside though, is I found I would often leave this to the end of the day, right before falling asleep. When I'm in bed and all cozy, it just was hard to get the same amount of retention. I would find myself starting to fall asleep and have to reread the same page multiple times. So what I would recommend, and what I'm trying to do more often, is have a time during the day where I'm actually aware, where I have energy and focus, and trying to read the books then. So if you're interested in doing this 45 medium, which I would highly recommend because the 75 hard is straight up a lot. It's a lot for most people. And while it's fantastic and it'll be life-changing, it might be a little much just to jump into. So I'm gonna keep on doing these 45 mediums. I'm gonna do a 45 medium, take a couple weeks off to reset, pick a new theme, and then jump back in. So if you're considering doing your own challenge, what I'd recommend is have a theme. Maybe it's fun, socializing, seeing friends. Maybe it's health and fitness. Maybe it's financial. My last one was focused around the health and fitness. My next one is gonna be about YouTube and content creation, doing more videos for you guys. So I'm gonna choose the metrics that, like they talk about in the book Atomic Habits, that will create the habits that success will follow. So when you're doing this stuff, it's not about the result. It's about what inputs, what sort of habits can you create? What sort of routines can you build? What tasks can you do that will ultimately lead to the success that you want? So choose your KPIs, your metrics that will push you towards becoming that better version of yourself. And no, this isn't gonna be easy. Tell yourself that this is hard and that's okay. I believe in you, and I would love to hear down in the comments exactly how you're planning on changing yourself this year to become the peak version of yourself. So before you go, I have one ask. If you could subscribe to this channel, it would mean the world to me, so that I can keep on bringing this content to you guys, and we can all journey together to design, build, and live our peak life. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next one up here. Bye.